Hold on. Let me take a sip.
We made it.
For a second, I thought you pressed the wrong button. I got a little notification that said, you've been removed. And I was like, removed?
I don't have time to mess around with post-production today. It needs to go off flawlessly.
Well,
look at me. I'm dressed professionally. I've got a blazer on today. Doesn't that scream I'm doing something important?
You bet.
No, I'm moderating a state senator conversation. Only problem is all 4 of them are up for re-election. So I've been told by the chambers, plural, that are running this event to keep them on task, keep them on question, and to make sure that they don't start politicking.
Yeah, how isn't that their job though? Like what kind of questions? What are they discussing?
So they're just discussing the bridge, our water problem, and our waste issue. So I've got pre-planned questions for them.
In Massachusetts as a whole, in particular areas?
These are just specifically speaking to the Cape.
Okay. That's the information I needed.
Yeah.
The waste problem
it's huge.
And the bridges, yeah.
It's going to be the next decade of problems here. So I'm just warning you, if you want to come visit the lovely Cape Cod, you might have some issues getting here. Once here, it'll be lovely.
Yeah. I wonder, I mean, it's going to be a massive overhaul. I feel like, though, it so
needs
needed.
To happen.
It's
yeah.
so needed.
Yeah.
Like, you go over the bridge and it bounces. Like, you feel it throb. Is like the only way I can describe that bridge.
And given the situation with that, boat walking into a bridge in Maryland this year, I think that we're all kind of like, okay, it's time. Let's get this done.
Yeah, but I was actually talking about that with my dad. Like, the way the bridge is built, the potential of a boat big enough to cause that much damage, veering to the sides of the canal where like the structure of the Cape Cod Bridge is like so slim.
Yeah.
Like, and we don't have big enough boats come through the canal to like cause that kind of damage.
We have cruise ships come through the canal.
Yeah, but they're not like the tugboats and the shipping boats are not like the size of that thing.
I know, but I still feel like a cruise ship is big enough to scare anybody into something might happen. You just never know.
Yeah, it's just not deep enough, I don't think. The canal's not deep enough to like get anything big, really. Yeah, we definitely need new bridges, though. Like, I'm just gonna say it. I'm like, am I looking forward to that traffic? No. But
no.
So it's because it's both ways. Like right now, it's a little bit manageable because you can time it based on the direction you're going at the time of day you're going. You know?
Well, it's depending because we're about to hit some summer situations. So
true.
We're off.
True.
But they did widen the lanes at the Bourne Bridge. And I laughed because it just added an extra lane of confusion. Like people already don't know how to drive around a rotary. Now there's like a third lane. So a third lane supposedly so you can get onto the bridge instead of clogging it all up to use the canal. It's going to be a problem.
Good idea in theory.
Right.
Potential execution problem.
Correct. The rotary, people in the rotary have the right of way. I'm just throwing that out there. No matter what country you're in, that is the rule. In the rotary, right away.
Yes. Yep.
All right. Now that I'm done barking about traffic, let's get into
it's always confusing to me. Wait, now that we're talking about traffic right away. You know when you're turning left onto the highway?
Yes.
Is the person turning left or the person veering from the other side merging with you? Who has the right of way? I have the right of way from turning left, right?
Right. Well, anytime you're turning into another lane, the person already traveling in that lane has the right of way.
Right, but when you're coming, so you know how like you have to cross opposite traffic, right? And then the opposite traffic decides to get on the highway and you have to cross that lane and turn left. I, turning left, have the right of way, not the person merging. The person merging can slow down and wait for me to turn left to get out of traffic.
Right.
Okay, people should know that.
They should know that.
Okay. Just my PSA.
Well, we are driving here in Massachusetts, just in case you don't know where this podcast is located, Cape Cod, Massachusetts.
With like the oldest roads, like none of these situations
are bad. And then now it's construction season, so they just shut it off. They're like, nope, you can't leave today.
A one-lane highway with sticks in the middle would not be approved by the state today.
No, so this is what we have to deal with. We're
Ending
contending
with
with
a
this.
rotary, and then that's it. Like, the road just ends.
It's a pile of bullshit that would not fly in any other state, but here.
Pardon my cough.
Oh, sorry. Everybody's got that seasonal allergen issue.
Yeah, I'm having an asthma problem. I can't quite breathe. Anyway, okay, should we get into what's roasting?
Let's please.
Okay. So all but one of the Astroworld uh lawsuits have been settled. So the last one was supposed to, or one of them, 9 out of the 10 suits, including a suit from the family of Madison Dubowski, was originally slated to go to trial this week, have now been settled. So this is
Interesting.
Travis Scott's, all of his issues, 10 suits, and all of them were settled.
So I'm curious, like, how much money was this Travis Scott? Was it his insurance company? Was it the rider of the production company? Did everybody get together and be like, what's the dollar amount?
I would love to know, and I would
Right?
also love to know too, with at least 4 wrongful death cases that have already been settled, what was holding up these last 10? Like,
Yeah.
why did you wait so long to do it? Because this has been going on for a really long time. Now, don't mind you, I know court systems and whatever,
So
but, like,
slow.
if you were and had the intent to settle with these people and not take it to court, wouldn't have been better from a PR standpoint to get it done and out of the way and, like, push it? Because now we're hearing about this again, and now we're
Mhm.
having all these questions a year later,
Right.
right?
But it's funny how it's like Astroworld. It's not no one's saying Travis Scott in any of these things. It's Live
Well,
Nation, it's the tour, it's the other
yeah,
people.
I mean, that's probably a liability thing, right? And they can't
Mhm.
legally say that it's Travis Scott because I'm sure Travis Scott is like an LLC and insurance and whatever for Astroworld, the company that's making money.
Mhm.
And he's like an employee, right? You kind of assume that's how that goes.
Yep.
So he's probably like wrapped in it from a marketing and PR standpoint, but probably not financially. Although it would just kill his profits. Like he would probably have to take a cut from what he's
Yeah.
pulling from the
Yeah, you're getting whacked either way. At
yeah.
least this one, you don't just shut down your brand completely, so
Yeah, I mean, he's had to. Like, is he I haven't heard from him, haven't done anything, no new
no.
music, no nothing. So, I'm sure that's a direction of his team to, like, be quiet and do nothing and let this settle.
Yeah. I'm just
Yeah,
curious what
yeah.
exactly was the settlement and what was the holdup. You're right.
And
Still
what
a
have
lot
you
of
been
questions
doing?
here. Mhm.
Like, have you been parenting? Because we don't really see you a lot. Like,
No.
what are you doing? I wanna know.
Speaking of parenting, is the world ready for this?
No. And the worst
Is this
part
why
was
Justin was crying?
well, the drama.
Okay, so in case you have not heard yet, Justin Bieber and Haley Baldwin Bieber are having a baby. And
Great, they're a married couple in their
right.
late 20s. This should
Are
not
they
be
aren't
shocking
they
news.
30 yet?
I don't think so. Let's Google them. I don't think so. I think
Right?
late 20s. Yeah, this is not shocking news. What's annoying about it is, like, all of the ways they, like, dodged this story to let it come out 6 months later.
Yeah,
But
he's
then, like,
30.
tease it, but then, like, not tease it, like, crying photos, but then she, like, didn't stir up any, um, rumor. Like, they went to Coachella, and she wore baggy coats and hid it. Like, how? How did you do
Right?
that? They had a nice little moment though, where they renewed their vows in some pretty place, and she wore some ridiculous gown, um, and then announced that they were pregnant. Great. I think this is a little dramatic, and I feel like I've just heard from you guys from a medical perspective way too much.
Way too needy in the press lately. He is in fact 30 years old.
Uh,
So it's not like crazy that you're
no,
having a baby at this point in time and
even
you
if
have
they
been
had
married for like 6 years.
even if they had that much money and they were 25, like, it would not be that crazy. Like,
Right.
who cares?
It made me laugh that he had a epic crying meltdown on social and then, oh, by the way, we're pregnant. 'Cause
Well,
that
and everybody's like, "Were you crying tears of joy? Like, is that what we missed?" Like, that was not clear to us. Um, yeah, and
no.
I don't know why I feel this way.
Well, because
But I'm
she's
like,
thirsty for press. Like, she's just always wanted to be validated on her own volition. Dad's famous, uncle's famous, I marry a famous man.
but I'm
I
also
wanna
a
be
little
famous.
sus. I'm a little sus as to, like, why they renew their vows, and I don't know if that's fair of me, but, like, typically people renew their vows when, like, either it's, like, an anniversary, right?
Mm,
Over, like, a long period of time, or, like, something happened, they went through struggles, and they wanna, like, renew that sense of commitment, right? So I'm just a little bit here, like, 6 years isn't enough time. I get that maybe if it's because you're pregnant, you wanna, like, renew that vow, whatever, but also, like, or has this just been, like, years of drama, and now you're pregnant, and you're like, "Well, I'm pregnant, I'm gonna go through with it. We've been trying to get pregnant, I don't know what's happening, so we might as well do this."
maybe it's a little bit of both, and they're both fairly religious, right? They
Yeah, so I guess the ceremony was held by, like, their pastor, but it looked
yeah,
like it was in some destination-y, like, mountaintop.
yeah.
She's wearing
Some
a designer dress, like, none of this was it was clearly planned.
Yeah, yeah, so maybe it was just one of those things like, "Okay, we're gonna put our childish bullshit marriage away, and now we're gonna be real grown-ups. Let's solidify that."
Do you
We're
think his attire is gonna change? He's, like, actually gonna show up an event deemed in a suit, like, in a suit, or do we
I
think we're
don't
gonna continue to see
I
hoodies?
don't think so. I think we're gonna continue to see whatever this thing is until he actually has children and cares. Although that's the style right now. It's kinda
Yeah, but
like
it's a
that
style for
70s schlub.
twelve-year-olds.
I know,
It's not the style for 30-year-old dads. Like, get out the right sneakers, get out the New Balance, like, get out
right?
this let's go.
It's time for you. Alright, so what is going on in the world of Miss Teen USA, Miss USA? Do you think it's an organizational problem? Do you think it's a shift?
100%, 100%. So, the Miss USA, resigned her role, she was 24, and she said that it was for 2023 Miss USA,
Mhm.
said that she resigned to focus on her mental health, and the quote was like, um, "I realize this may come as a shock. Never compromise your physical and mental well-being. Our health is our wealth. A million thank yous to all your constant and unwavering support. Time to write the next chapter." But then, just recently, the 17-year-old Miss, um, I believe she's Miss Teen USA.
Yep.
She decided to step down, and her quote was very different. It said, "After careful consideration, I've decided to resign as I find that my personal values no longer fully align with the direction of the organization."
Yeah, I'm curious what they're trying to dredge up or bring back or take away. I'm not quite sure as to, like, what the deal is with that, but it's just
Yeah,
really
I'm
weird.
totally. I'm interested that, like, Miss USA said nothing, and Miss Teen USA hinted to something, and at the same time, though, it's a little bold of a 17-year-old to, like, make a little bit of that much of a stance, and
Yeah.
I don't mean that 17-year-olds don't have an opinion or a personality or anything like that, but you're so young in the world, so to come out with a, "This doesn't align with my values," at 17, when you haven't necessarily, like, lived enough life to, like, know what those values are yet, I think is, like, a
Yeah.
very bold statement, especially
Mm.
against a tried and true organization that could bury you. I'm sorry, could bury you. I
Yeah.
just think it's definitely a risk early in life. Um, I would say that was not as much of a white flag as it maybe should have been. Like, you can leave for sure, but to put out that statement, I think is, like, a little bit of, uh, declaring a press war.
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
but
there's gonna be more investigation towards it, there is, so
right.
it's kinda like, let's watch this one.
And I wonder what it is, like, what do you mean? Is it the bikini contest? Like, which thing didn't make sense in today's day and age? Because there's
It could be
a list.
anything, I
Yeah.
know, it really could be anything. It's is Donald still involved in the organization? Is
Yeah,
there
but she would have known that prior
are
to
there sponsors that are suspect? Is it stuff that you have to do along with this role? A
it
lot
had
of
to be that. It had to be
yeah.
something that she finds out after she won it, right? Otherwise, like
Mhm.
otherwise you have this vindictive mentality of, "I'm gonna win it, and then I'm gonna make a
And then
statement."
I'm gonna do this. It
Yeah.
could be either, it could have just been that culture where you wanna win so badly, and then
Yeah.
when you get that job and you're like, this is what I wanted to win, I don't wanna win this."
Yeah,
And
I'm
that's
sure.
real too.
Yep,
And I
agreed.
feel like this new generation is just not gonna put up with that crap. They're just
No.
not.
No. I'll be interested to see which colleges she gets into now
Well,
at
I watch
17.
my 17-year-old now, and she's just not if it's not for her, it's not for her, and no one's making her do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not happening. They
Mm.
absolutely march to their own beat. They do. So, I just wanna know what happened.
Yeah, I agree.
Tell us what happened
I
on
just
this
need more.
show.
I need more on this. Thank you.
Exactly. I feel like that this is the name of this episode. Um, okay, so can we talk about Jana Kramer for a minute?
Who like who even is she? Like, and I don't mean like who is she? I mean like who even is she now? Like,
Right.
what are you contributing to society and pop culture society enough to think you have an opinion on somebody else's relationship?
Her
That's where
podcast is pretty popular.
okay. I didn't even know
Her
she had a podcast.
well,
So
it's a wind down podcast basically where she complains and drinks wine.
you don't
So
think it's kind of funny then her giving her next commentary on Travis Kelce? That her
right,
podcast is literally about wine.
exactly.
And then she pointed out that she thinks Travis Kelce is always drunk and a bad influence on Taylor Swift.
Well, I mean, she is coming from One Tree Hill, which had a lot of, like, weirdness on the set, so she can speak to, a culture that's not so hot as far
I
as in a
guess,
work
but
environment.
however, like we see them, Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift, in context of two modes: their professional lives, where they're like working and on a stage,
Yep,
or they're out together publicly.
right.
We don't see them at home. We don't see their inner workings of their relationship. We don't see how they act in their daily lives. Like, if the pictures are only taken of you out in public,
Yeah.
doing public things, of course you're gonna be maybe drinking and partying and whatever. They've also been, like, in a celebration mode. Like, I feel like these comments are, like, completely, uh, like, out of left field.
If you take a snapshot of the last few months for both of them, they 100% have been in a celebratory space. You
Right.
know, they've been popping up in Vegas, parties, sloppy drinking,
Yeah.
really enjoying each other. But it's like, dude just won the Super Bowl and she just
Right.
finished a world tour and dumped a heartbreak record.
And
Like, they're
they
both
went on
enjoying each
vacation.
other. Right.
Like, who's to say, she's doing that at home? She's probably not. She also has to, like, work out and keep her body in shape to put on a 3.5-hour concert and,
Right.
like, create a new concert after her old concert because she dropped a new album in the middle of concerts. Like,
Right.
wait a minute. I'm gonna bet that she probably, and by the way, she's 35. She, like, does not have time, and she has the independence to be able to say, "I don't wanna drink tonight. You don't need to be an influence on me," and they can still have a relationship. I
Yeah.
just feel like these are weird comments.
Yeah, almost like this is what's getting traction right now. Let's jump into this ring. But if you're watching this as a snapshot, if you're watching this as a person that's just kind of like in that life, but not in that life, and watching the snapshots of it, you're gonna think that it looks a little like, okay, he's sloppy. She's being sloppy with him.
I think it's
But
like his goofy personality too, I think, like, doesn't help. But I love the fact that he was like, um, "I literally don't know who this person is."
exactly.
And then when they told him, he was like, "Okay, I think she's just blowing hot air to get attention."
Right. Well, you know, they've got a podcast with his brother. She's got a podcast. I feel like everybody's got a podcast. Mama Kelce was on a podcast this week talking to Martha Stewart,
I
who
forgot
also
Martha
has a
Stewart had a
podcast.
it's crazy how Martha Stewart has a podcast.
Right. And Mama Kelce was talking about how she stayed with their dad until they both graduated college because she didn't want to interrupt them or be a part of, you know, whatever it was. I don't know why they decided to talk to her this week, but this was the conversation that was
That's an
had. So,
interesting, at least it's a different conversation than, like, "Tell me about your kids," and
mm,
"Tell me about, like, Taylor." Like, at least
right.
Mama Kelsey gets to answer a question about her own life for
Yeah,
once.
that's true. That's true. So I think this is just salacious drama drummed up by everybody and their mother who has a podcast.
And their mother.
Well, it's Mother's Day weekend, everybody.
It
I know,
is, it
I
is.
know you and I are both like, that's great.
Here's to all the moms out there. And the dog moms and
But
my sister-in-law who's a new mom, and
oh, I didn't even know about the
yeah,
baby. We didn't even talk about the baby.
well, he
That's
exists.
exciting.
Yeah, I mean, it's not really my, like, business, so I try
Right.
not to, like, air it
No,
out,
but
but
you're a doting auntie.
oh my god, he's just a little bundle. I
You're
hold him and
allowed
he
to be a
snores,
doting
it's great.
auntie. Oh, cute.
Yeah, it's
See,
fun.
that's fun.
It's a fun time. It's a
New
fun
life.
time. Yeah.
New life for Gypsy Rose, since we're over here talking about it, who is convinced that Taylor Swift's Fresh Out the Slammer is about her.
Which is kind of funny that she's like so self-centered enough in her own world between the men that like she thinks Taylor Swift. But I mean, is it?
She's been in prison. She's had movies about her life. She comes out of prison and everybody wants her. Everybody wants the story. Everybody wants to be involved with whatever it is that's going on.
So at least we know that like she's got a favorite song in the album. I can see how Gypsy Rose would relate to it, just looking at the lyrics a little bit. But girly, I think maybe this is about Taylor Swift and the ending of her relationship.
Not about you.
Great metaphor. I think less reality, but I love the place you're in mentally to think about it that way.
Taylor Swift's been writing for me.
Can you imagine?
It's cute. It's endearing. It's still kind of like that childlike mind that she has, though.
Completely. All right, that's it. All I got, really. Do you have
content Rex?
Oh yeah, I gotta find the name of my book. What's your?
Well, I just wanted to show. I had Judy Lannon on. She's a local Cape Cod author.
Oh.
9 days. Super easy beach read. You'll be done with it in like a day. But it actually got my girlfriend, who I don't think she's ever read a book in her entire life, to read it and enjoy it and look for the sequel, which is Making Genevieve, who is a horrible person. But I had Judy on my show and she was talking about 9 days that she wrote while she was in the 9 days before her mother passed away in the hospital, Cape Cod Hospital. And so she made up this like fake family from all the personalities around her from the people at Cape Cod Hospital.
I'm sure that is an interesting story.
Oh, yeah. So, like, I just started getting into it just a little bit. I'll be done with it probably by the end of the day if I ever have 20 minutes to myself. But funny. I definitely suggest Judy Lannon's 2 new books, and she's got Making Genevieve, which is about the rotten mom and her origin story, sort of. It's not necessarily in chronological order by any means, but it's just about her and her person and what kind of woman she is and why she is the way she is. Why are you the way you are?
You ask that question about a lot of people. It's what happens when you work in customer service.
Oh, yeah. I can't even imagine.
There's good days and bad days. The full moon is a real thing. That's all I'm going to say. My content rec is this book. It's called When We Were Enemies. Let me pull up the author. I would say it's okay. I think their intention was to do this like enemies to lovers trope, which is like a big thing in the romance world. It's from a dual perspective between 2 different generations. It has some heavy religious themes. So if you're, I would say, Catholic, this might resonate with you. For me, that part of the book didn't quite resonate, but it was still a good story. But it was still an easy read. I think, is it the best book I've ever read? No. Is it a book that I was happy to put back on my shelf and never read again? Yes. But
check.
It is what it was. And then my other content rec is, I'm just going to say it again, we've got new seasons filming, we have new shows coming out, we have all the things. So I said Bridgerton last week. This week it's Emily in Paris. I rewatched season 3 to get myself caught up because they are in the process of producing season 4, which I'm very excited about. And I love that show. I just think it's light and easy and funny, and like the dialogue is funny and the characters are funny and it's like predictable and easy. But the sets and the costumes and the fashion is superb. So
yeah, and I love Lily Collins. She's just a doll.
She's literally a doll. She's literally a doll. She's so cute. She's like this little model frame.
Yeah. But she's just a likable too. And like just the personality, I feel, has a lot of her own personality. So I think it's just a perfect character that was almost developed perfectly for her.
I agree. That's it. That's all I got.
Stuff. Well, enjoy your weekend. I know you're working all weekend, and so am I. However, I am going to go with my daughter after I work on Sunday to inoculate logs with mushrooms. So I'm very excited.
Very exciting.
Yay. I'll talk all about it on Monday. So I will be looking forward to that show. Get perky with us Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at The First Shot Morning Show.
Bye, everybody.
The First Shot Morning Show is produced by Lemonadio. When life gives you lemons, make radio. We encourage everyone to listen happier.com.